and I am super excited for today's guest. You love him, you know him. And if you haven't heard his music, then there's a blast from the future and the past. The one and only Jerad Christianson of the one and only Arkaik, and let's bring him out. Hey, what's up, my brother? How's it going?
What's up, Chris? Going good, man. How are you?
I'm good. There is so much to say about this from what I witnessed. And first off, I want to go ahead and give you some self promotion. Your new CD is coming out March 11th, and
Tomorrow.
Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so it's our technically our sixth full-length album. We started working on it in 2019, pretty much, and maybe a little bit earlier, but we had been working on some new songs since our last album came out 2017. So we were working on songs for a little bit. Then the pandemic happened, and
Right.
we were going to record in 2020, and we were planning on finishing it and getting it out in like 2020.
Right.
But as you know,
COVID
happened. We had to canceled our studio dates that we had planned.
That blows. So you have a CD called Labyrinth of Hungry Ghosts. Where did that come from? That is amazing.
Thanks, man. So it comes from, it's kind of a blend of a bunch of different just kind of stuff that we're into, like Buddhist philosophy and psychology and I don't know, like supernatural, esoteric kind of stuff. And
that was a really keen combination. Where do your names come from first for studio albums?
This one was actually hard to decide on. We didn't actually know what we were going to call it up until like basically the last day that we just had to choose. And because it was like the way that it came together, it was kind of like once it was all complete, then we kind of like we're trying to figure out what the name for it was, what to call it. And one of the songs, track 2, is called Labyrinth of Hungry Ghosts. So out of all the track titles, we felt that felt like a good pick because
that was a really good one. Then again, I have to say Goddess. What was the other one? It was I can't remember which one it was now. I went through the entire thing and I thought I was gonna remember this one. I think it was Memoirs of the Goddess. I think that's what it was. And I think that would have been also a really good pick for this album because it's very, like you said, very voodoo-ish, very supernaturalist, and in like all the bells and whistles, like all the howling and the screeching, like really would have tied it all together. But I gotta say, Labyrinth of the Hungry Ghost, that's something. That's something. I was going through the list that you sent me, and I get a lot of work goes into the credibility of the psyche. I think it goes a lot. It has a lot to do with your creation. Am I on the right track?
For sure, yeah. Because we're doing concept albums that are like referencing just basically how the psyche kind of works, I guess, and the different elements, like the subconscious, which is basically that's the labyrinth, and
there you go.
There's this anthropologist or philosopher, writer, whatever, Carl Jung, who he would liken the subconscious mind to a labyrinth.
Okay. All right.
And
so it's like an embodiment of his work, I guess you want to put it that way.
yeah, or I guess it's just kind of like inspired by that idea, and we kind of mix that into the story because it's kind of like
Right.
a video. It's like we were doing a live stream of it today where we premiered it earlier on the Artisan Era's YouTube channel, and people were describing like what they were seeing, like their visual.
Right.
And it was really interesting, the stuff that they were saying.
They were liking it to like a video game, I guess.
Yeah, like kind of like a video game, and
That's interesting.
and like with bosses and stuff, and like if there's parts that feel like you're kind of like challenging a boss or something like that.
I would actually take it more from say Carl Jung, than the one you said. It would be more like how your mind has those monsters in it, like it's depression and
Well,
anger, or all those other types of monsters out there, depression and all that would be like the monsters in the labyrinth of your mind. I mean, that would probably be more a liking into it. I wouldn't quite say a video game, but what do I know? That's. I mean,
well, yeah, you brought up a good point too, because the labyrinth is like it's just a symbol, like one of the earliest known symbols too. So it's ancient, which is what archaic means. So we're always kind of trying to incorporate.
Archaic. Archaic. That's actually a good way of putting it. That means ancient. That's actually true. I don't know why I didn't think of that. But that's a good way of putting it. So so your upcoming how are you going to dish out this one?
As far as like releasing it and like getting it out there.
For sure, promotion is a big one.
Yeah, well, we've been in pretty much promotion mode for since January 4th, because that's when we put out the first song, and then we put one out in February and another in March, or like earlier or late February, March. But we already put out 3 singles, and that was
I noticed that.
Yeah, and that was like kind of hard to pick like which songs to put out, because they all kind of like.
Well, if you give too much out there, then you give away your selling point for sure.
Yeah, so we didn't want to give too much out. I feel like we did a good job at picking the songs to kind of give people a.
I think so. I noticed. I was looking at some of the singles, and I think you did a really good job, actually.
Thanks, man. So yeah, like that's where we've been up until tomorrow, which is the actual release date. March 11th is tomorrow. So yeah, like
so it's a good time. It's a good time that we do this one. I didn't want to do this too little or too late by that time. It's like, oh, we already know that they already put on an album. You're late. It's like, I wanted to make sure that this was late enough towards like, oh, okay, so something's coming, and they're looking for it now, just in time for it to come out. A little bit of a connection that way.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me a little bit of how Arkaik came to be. Like what is the embodiment of the events that made Arkaik?
Yeah, so it's a long story, because at this point,
that's what this story is about.
Yeah, it's been like 20 years almost, because me and my friend Chance, who we were just friends who played guitar together, and then we wanted to start a band, so we found a drummer, and that we were in high school. It was 2004, so that's kind of when we started jamming for the first time and stuff.
High school?
Yeah, I was a sophomore in high school.
Oh, always a good time to start.
Yeah, it seems like so long ago now, but we found some friends to jam together, and then eventually after high school, me and Chance were still serious about like going like full blown technical death metal.
There you go.
We had discovered Spawn of Possession,
Ooh.
Necrophagus, Psychroptic, all these bands.
A lot of the screamy, a lot of the growly bands. That's what I said. All the growly bands.
Yeah. Decrepit Birth, all the bands from California too.
There you go. Get your local love out there for sure.
Yeah. So then a few years later, we got an opportunity to play at a music festival or like a metal festival, and there was a guy there that was helping out at the Unique Leader booth, which was a label that we were trying to get on, and
there you go.
Yeah, and he came and watched our set, and then he was able to kind of vouch for us to Eric Lindmark.
Label there.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, so then we signed a Unique Leader, and then we put out our first album in 2010, started touring, and then we put another album out in 2012, which is like the beginning of the concept albums and where we started there. And then we put out another one in 2015, and then one in 2017. And then we put out a single in 2019.
There you go.
And that single was kind of like the transition period from our previous label, Unique Leader Records, to the Artisan Era, which is our current record label. So we had signed to the Artisan Era, and we wanted to put out some new music just to kind of like, we knew that the album was going to take a while. So we're like, let's put something out and just see how a single goes.
Right.
And it was a good thing that we did that, because we thought we were going to put out the album way early, way sooner. But that kind of was like the mark of like the Artisan Era, and a new lineup too. Like our drummer Nathan, he'd been touring with us for a few years, like 5 now probably, but him and Alex are both new members to the band, so we had some new writing, like some new style and riffs and stuff.